Welcome back to the International Desk. I'm Lynda Kinkade. Arab leaders have agreed to create a joint military force to fight insurgencies in the region. That agreement was struck during a meeting of the Arab League in Egypt. At that same summit, the King of Saudi Arabia vowed to continue airstrikes in Yemen until Houthi rebels withdraw. Houthi health officials say 35 people were killed in Saudi-led airstrikes overnight. Yemen's foreign minister says the air campaign could ultimately lead to a ground intervention to root out rebel forces. CNN's Becky Anderson joins me now from Sharm el-Sheikh, where the Arab League summit was held. And Becky, Saudi forces have been bombing Houthi targets for the past few days, and now there's talk of creating a regional fighting force. How will that work?
Yep, as the Saudi-led offensive from the air continues to grind down these capabilities of Houthi rebels on the ground across Yemen, there is a very real chance that tens of thousands of Arab boots on the ground could be deployed within days to further degrade this Iran-backed militia. How does it work? Well, Arab leaders and their delegations have thrashed out plans for what is an Arab military force. Now, this was always on the table for the future, but ostensibly it's about countering threats of insurgency across the region, but concentrating in the first instance now on Yemen. This is the Sharm el-Sheikh Declaration, and it allows for military action led by the Saudis and urges the Houthis to immediately withdraw from the capital, from government institutions, to surrender their weapons to, quote, legitimate authorities. Now, the implicit understanding then is that if they don't, Lynda, there is now a mechanism in place to ratchet up these allied efforts. So President Hadi, who slipped out of Yemen last week and turned up here at the Arab League summit this weekend, rallying support for Operation Decisive Storm. In his opening speech, he denounced Houthi rebels as, and I pretty much paraphrase him here, Iran's puppets, and warned that they will be responsible for what happens next in his country. He's flown back to Riyadh with the Saudi King Salman, who was also here in Sharm el-Sheikh. I sat down, though, with the Yemeni foreign minister this morning, and I asked him just what he thought was the consequence or the belief that he had about the addition of ground troops. And this is what he said.
I think we will need the ground troops as soon as possible to keep things and to hold it together.
You're talking days?
Could be.
Yeah, well, it could just be days, says the Yemeni foreign minister. This is, Lynda, by no means unanimously supported. I have to say, we've seen dissenting voices from Lebanon and Iraq. Baghdad says that Riyadh's decision to go into Yemen was hasty, and they are also looking for political dialogue as opposed to military intervention across the board, really, in the region. They think that all stakeholders should sit down together, and that's what the international community is also eager to promote, further discussions. So there's a bit of a parallel story going on here. The possibility of boots on the ground, significant boots on the ground within days, but also this sort of parallel track of political dialogue, which I don't think has been exhausted as of yet. This promises to be a very interesting time going forward, Lynda.
And we know, of course, that President Hadi has the support of Saudi Arabia, and the Houthi rebels are backed by Iran. So is Iran saying anything about these latest developments?
They did. When Saudi first launched this incursion, as it were, from the air, they said that they strongly condemn this, and what Tehran said is that it will open the doors to terrorism and extremism. Now, remember that Al-Qaeda and ISIS have shown their form in Yemen of late with some deadly violence. I think just about 10 days ago, it was 2 explosions in a Shia mosque that ISIS claimed responsibility for. So they have strongly condemned what is going on there. We've heard nothing from them to date on this Sharm el-Sheikh declaration, but I've got a feeling that we will do going forward. You've also, of course, the context for this, or the background for all of this in the region, is that these US-Iran talks are going on at present, and I don't think Tehran will want to be the sort of the spectre of the baddie, as it were, just as they desperately try and negotiate their way back in from the cold with P5+1, and the deadline for that, of course, is the 31st of March. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a very interesting time. And I think I've said this to you before, but I'll say it again. What goes on in Yemen doesn't stay in Yemen. The consequences of what is going on there at the moment are much wider and broader than just for the Yemenis. Lynda?
That's a very good point. Becky Anderson in Sharm el Sheikh, Egypt. Good to talk to you again. Thank you.